We'd been working to get our rotation of our coins just right, and the AI kept telling us that it was perfect. And yet, when we would look at it, it would always be a little bit different. It would never be exactly as we expected. And finally, we figured out what was going on. It was the rim. Sometimes the AI would be looking at the face, and sometimes it would be looking at the rim. It's not the first time we thought we'd solved the problem, and we were in fact dead wrong. It was at least the seventh, or actually more like the 700th. We strongly believe in the idea of cut 1,000 times, measure once, as long as you're measuring exactly the right thing. The thing is, with AI these days, it's so powerful that you can have 1,000 different experiments all going on at the same time. Instead of trying to decide up front, this is the exact right way to do it. You can try 1,000 different variations and see which one is right. I like to say reality is batting 1,000 and theory is batting maybe 200. And especially with coins, I've found that whatever the AI tells you or whatever the best practices are at the moment really don't work very well. And we've had to come up with really novel ways in order to do this. The first thing we did was we taught the model to find one point and then figure out what the radius was. And from that, figure out what the rotation was. And that didn't work because it wasn't getting the angle correct. So another way to do it, of course, is to do two landmarks, find two spots. You should be able to figure out the exact rotation by making sure that they're always in the correct relation to each other. But when we tried it, that didn't work either. Part of it was how accurate can you be in finding each of those, and how consistent is it? So what we often found was it worked great on our training data, but then when we tried it on real data with real user coins, which were a little bit different, maybe not in such ideal conditions, that it often failed pretty horribly. Often these seemed pretty good by the eye, 12, maybe 12 to 30 degrees different. But in reality, that was a big problem for us. We tried a lot of the AI models out there that are specifically for finding orientation, and that was a real hoot because they were certainly not developed on coins. They were more developed on like real world photos and things. So whereas they might have done a good job of flipping a photo right side up, with coins, they were pretty hopeless. So if you've dealt with AI before, you're probably thinking, there's an easy way to do this. All you have to do is get somebody to go in and mark certain points on each coin, and then train an AI to be able to take those and find those points on other coins. And in fact, that's what we did with Morgan's, and it works really well. So what you would do is you would put a point on the bonnet, put a point on Liberty's cap, put a point on the chin, etc., and then do copy after copy of that on coin after coin and train the AI. There were a couple problems with that. One problem is you really have to make sure that you're getting in exactly the right place over time. What we found is people would put it in slightly different places, and over time that would make the rotation not exact. But the bigger problem, math. If you're going to do this for 2 coins, 90 series, and you need at least 200 examples each, that's 36,000 coins that need to be done. And that's assuming that nothing goes wrong. And that's at least 10 seconds a coin. So at 10 seconds a coin, that's 100 hours of work, no breaks. So that's a huge amount of work. And I've got a lot of other stuff to do here. So the breakthrough came not from finding a better AI or training the AI that we have to better be able to put everything up right. No, it came from changing the question. You see, upright looks pretty obvious, but it's not always as obvious. And a lot of coins that look upright to the human eye are really a little bit different. And for some coins, such as Morgan's, where there's not a flat row of text, but say a curved date at the bottom, it's even a little trickier to say exactly what is upright. So if you were to look at 100 dealer coins, you would find that they were all a little bit off. And that may not seem like it's a big deal, but when you're looking for something like mint marks, it can be a really big deal. So I was looking at these Morgans and I was saying, gee, they're all wrong. Every single one of these is wrong. And then I realized they were all wrong, but they were all wrong in exactly the same way. They were all 40 degrees off. And so if you know exactly how wrong the rotation is, all you have to do is rotate it 40 degrees and boom, you're golden. And was the big breakthrough that solved this problem. This breakthrough took us from something like 3 degrees different to less than 1 degree different. Really super accurate. Now, of course, there are still problems with some rotation. So if it's a damaged coin, if the image is blurry, or if there was something wrong with the image and part of the image gets chopped off, then it gets really difficult to put it in the correct position. I would say we still do really well with that, but there are times when the rotation just doesn't work correctly, but it's few and far between. So finally, we had really figured it out. I've been saying for over a year that if we could get rotation perfect, everything else downstream would be much better off. Just think about it. The more you can focus right in on here's the mint mark, or here's the year, or here's what makes this VAM different from every other VAM. Here's what defines this variety. The more you can narrow in exactly to a certain spot and really look at it, the more power you have to make sure that everything is good. And not just that, but also with grading. The more you can look at every single different important spot and understand how those spots have worn, and the better the grading can be. Because part of what our grading does is it looks at the different wear points and figures out how much wear there is. Well, the closer you can get to the wear, the more you can be sure that you're looking at the right spot and it's not slightly rotated, the better you can do with it. So this has been an amazing breakthrough for us. So in the end, the AI was wrong. It was wrong on every single coin, but it was consistently wrong. And that consistency is what allowed us to make rotation really, really good.